You are listening to Ablaze Bible Reflection. Today's passage is Luke chapter 11, verses 14 to 36, read by Isioma. Perception, the eyes of the body. In Luke 11, verses 33 to 36, Jesus states that the eye is the lamp of the body. The statement immediately directs attention to perception. What the eye represents is not merely physical sight, but the way a person interprets reality, understands others, and becomes aware of God's presence. In other words, the way a person sees often determines how they live. If perception is healthy, the whole life becomes filled with light. If perception is distorted, the entire life begins to move in darkness. Luke's teaching, therefore, invites reflection on the deeper question of how people see. Perception is the way we interpret reality. It is the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses, but it also involves the process through which the mind gives meaning to what it receives. Perception is not simply observation. It is shaped by attitudes, values, experiences, and beliefs. Over time, these elements form an inner lens through which people interpret the world around them. Sometimes, this lens develops gradually through experience. At other times, it is shaped by a decisive moment in life. In either case, perception quietly guides how we understand events, relationships, and even our experience of God. It differs slightly from perspective. Perspective grows out of perception. Perspective is the point of view from which we look at something. When someone is encouraged to keep things in perspective, the invitation is to step back and see the larger picture, to understand a situation in its proper relation to everything else before reacting. Yet, perspective does not appear on its own. It arises from the perceptions that already shape the mind. The way we interpret life forms the angle from which we view it. Seen in this light, the teaching of Jesus takes on a very practical meaning. If perception is healthy, life is guided by truth and light. If perception is distorted, life itself becomes distorted. Much like physical eyesight, the way we see spiritually affects everything that follows. One form of distorted perception can be compared to short-sightedness. A short-sighted person sees what is close, but struggles to see what lies further away. In daily life, this appears when someone focuses only on immediate concerns or personal interests. It becomes difficult to see the larger picture, the needs of others, or the long-term consequences of choices. When vision remains confined to what is nearest, understanding becomes narrow and relationships can suffer. Another distortion resembles long-sightedness. Here, distant things appear clear, while what is close becomes blurred. In life, this can happen when a person easily recognizes others' faults, but struggles to see his or her own weaknesses. It is often easier to point out what others have done wrong than to examine one's actions. Jesus speaks about this directly in Luke chapter 7, verse 3, when he asks why someone sees the speck in another person's eye but fails to notice the plank in his own. Clear perception requires honesty that begins with oneself. A further example can be seen, for example, in color blindness. A person can still see, but certain differences are difficult to recognize. Spiritually, this can resemble a loss of discernment. Important distinctions between truth and error, kindness and indifference, or justice and selfish begin to blur. When those distinctions fade, decisions become uncertain and direction becomes unclear. These everyday images help reveal the heart of Jesus' teaching. The way we see shapes the way we live. Perception influences decisions, relationships, and even faith. When the inner vision is clouded, life easily moves in the wrong direction. When the inner vision is clear, life becomes more balanced, compassionate, and wise. For this reason, the exhortation in Luke 11 calls us to care for the health of our inner sight. Spiritual maturity involves learning to see clearly. A healthy eye reflects humility, honesty, and openness to truth. When perception is purified, the whole person becomes filled with light, and that light begins to guide every part of life with wisdom, compassion, and understanding. May the lamp of the eye lead us to our truest seeing, and by that light, bring us peace. God bless you. Stay close to the Word, the Ablaze team.